story begins at a very sad time in Makkah. It had been tough for our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and tough for the Muslims. There'd been a boycott which had left the Muslims living in the most horrendous conditions. They had become poor, ill and weak. However, shortly after, our Prophet was to face two more tragedies. His beloved wife Khadija radiallahu anha passed away. His uncle Abu Talib, who protected him from the enemies, also passed away. This happened within a short time of each other. Our Prophet decided to go to Ta'if and speak to the people there. Maybe, he thought, just maybe they would be kind and accept Islam. But instead, they rejected his message and they refused to help. This year was such intense sadness that it became known as a year of sadness. And it was during this time Allah took our Prophet on the most amazing and the most incredible journey from Makkah to Masjid Al-Aqsa. This miraculous journey is called Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. It sounds so exciting, don't you think? Well, to find out more, you need to join us for Aqsa Week, kids. This is a week jam-packed with stories and fun activities. Join us from the 11th to the 17th of January 2026. Our story begins over 1400 years ago in a desert in Makkah. It was a strange time. The people worshipped idols. They behaved so badly. They would fight over the littlest of things, and these fights would often turn to war and go on for years and years. The people had become selfish. They didn't care about the poor. They didn't care about the weak or the orphans. They denied the rights of many people. There was so much corruption. The situation outside Arabia was not any better. There were so many wars and violence. It really was a time of ignorance and intolerance. It was during this time that a child was born in Makkah. This child would grow up to be the greatest human being ever to have lived on earth. His name, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is his story. Welcome to story time. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born to a wonderful lady called Amina. Sadly, his father had died before he was born. He became under the care of his grandfather Abdul Muttalib. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had faced so many hard times at such a tender age. His mother died when he was only 6 years old, and he lost his grandfather, who he was so fond of, at a young age too. He didn't grow up with a lot of money. He attended sheep at the outskirts of Makkah. He didn't go to school. He couldn't read or write, which, by the way, was quite common throughout the world at that time. Despite all this happening, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had something which was amazing, which was his wonderful character, his manners and his morals. He was kind, gentle and always spoke the truth. All the people respected him and he became known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't like the way his people had become. His heart was restless with all the evils and bad morals which were so widespread amongst the people of Makkah. The Prophet felt so helpless and lost. He just wanted to get away from it all. So he would go to the cave Hira and worship Allah and Allah alone. It was in Cave Hira at the age of 40 that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ received the first verses of the Holy Quran, delivered by Angel Jibreel alayhi salam. Allah gave Prophet Muhammad ﷺ the mission of being the final prophet and to invite people to Islam. The Prophet now had a huge task in front of him, and it was not going to be easy. With Allah's help, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ began to teach his people about Allah, and he taught them to leave their bad ways. At first, the people of Makkah did not want to believe in the Prophet's message. The people wanted to continue their traditions of worshipping idols. They didn't want to leave their bad ways. Some even became violent against the Muslims and the Prophet. Despite all these difficulties, our Prophet remained strong and dedicated. He continued to invite people to Islam with love and kindness. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was now facing another test. This test was the hardest yet. It not only affected him, but affected the people most dearest to him, his family and his friends. The Meccan leaders had come together and made a plan. This plan was the evilest of all plans yet. They decided that they would stop all dealings with the tribe of Banu Hashim. So, what do we mean by no dealings? Well, let me explain. No business, no relationship, no visiting them, no talking with them, no food, no water, just nothing. This was called the boycott, and they would continue this evil boycott until Banu Hashim handed over the Prophet. The Muslims were now forced to live in a narrow, barren valley, living in the most horrendous conditions. This was such a difficult time for the Muslims. Soon, their food had run out. They were starving. It was said, whenever anyone passed the valley, whether it was day or night, all they could hear was the echo of the crying of starving children. While the Meccans were always watching, they kept an eye out to catch anyone helping the Muslims and anyone going against the agreement. In order to survive, the Muslims had no choice but to eat the leaves and roots of plants and shrubs. Soon, the Muslims became sick, frail and weak. It was the most difficult time for the Muslims. This boycott had caused so much suffering and misery, but still the Muslims remained strong and patient, keeping their complete trust in Allah. After almost 3 long years, finally the boycott was over, and as you can imagine, the Muslims were so relieved. However, shortly after, at the age of 50, our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was to face 2 more sad and painful tragedies. What were these tragedies and what happened? We will find out tomorrow, inshallah. So, let's talk a little bit about Masjid Al-Aqsa, because Masjid Al-Aqsa plays a very important part in these stories. Did you know, in the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, Masjid Al-Aqsa was actually in ruins. In fact, it was destroyed 70 years after Prophet Isa ﷺ was taken into the heavens by Allah. The Romans came to Jerusalem and they destroyed the whole city. They even demolished Masjid Al-Aqsa. All that was standing were the actual walls that surrounded the masjid. It was such a difficult time for everyone, even for the Jews. The Romans, they didn't let the Jews into Jerusalem, never mind pray there. Masjid Al-Aqsa stayed like this until the final prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, came. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last and final messenger that Allah sent to all the people. He taught us how to live our lives in a way that would make Allah happy. His life is full of the most inspirational stories that are an example for us to learn from. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had so much love for Masjid Al-Aqsa and a very special connection to Masjid Al-Aqsa and to Jerusalem. In the coming week of Aqsa Week Kids, we will learn about this incredible place and about this special connection our Prophet had to Masjid Al-Aqsa. And this is where our story ends today. Don't forget to complete the Day 1 worksheets, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Day 2 of Aqsa Week Kids.